Army Upgrade Channel brings you the events of the defense complex of different countries. Today we will look at the first flight of the new American strategic bomber B-21 Raider. On November 10, 2023, the first flight of the first T-1 prototype of the new American B-21 Raider low observable strategic bomber took place at the Plant 42 airfield of Northrop Grumman Corporation in Palmdale, California. In the maiden flight, the first B-21 prototype flew to Edwards Air Force Base in California, where it will undergo flight testing at the Air Force Test Center. The aircraft made its first flight with a towed cone to calibrate static pressure errors. The first flight of the B-21 has not been officially announced, but Northrop Grumman has distributed material on its resources, which states that the B-21 represents the continued evolution of the U.S. Air Force's strategic bomber fleet and the world's first sixth-generation aircraft to reach the skies. When it comes to realizing America's resolve, the Raider will provide the U.S. Air Force with greater range, high survivability, and payload flexibility. The B-21 will penetrate the most robust defenses and deliver precision strikes anywhere in the world. Here's what you need to know about Northrop Grumman's B-21 Raider as it continues flight testing. The flight test is an important step in the testing campaign conducted by the U.S. Air Force Test Center and the B-21 Joint Test Group, 412th Test Wing to ensure survivability and long-range penetrating strike capabilities to deter aggression and strategic attacks against the United States and its allies and partners. Army Upgrade Channel recalls that the program to develop a promising low-observable U.S. strategic bomber was initiated in the 2000s as the Next Generation Bomber, NGB, then suspended, and resumed in 2010 as the Long-Range Strike Bomber, LRSB. In July 2014, the U.S. Air Force issued a formal request for proposals to Northrop Grumman. From the beginning of work on the NGB and then the LRSB, there were two competing designs for the aircraft, one by Northrop Grumman Corporation and the other by a consortium of Boeing and Lockheed Martin, with both designs being broadly conceptually similar to Northrop Grumman's B-2A Spirit low observable bomber, being a subsonic flying wing aircraft. In 2015, the U.S. Department of Defense selected Northrop Grumman's design for the LRSB program and awarded it an initial $21.4 billion contract to develop the aircraft. The total cost of R&D and deliveries under the program is estimated at about $90 billion. In 2016, the advanced aircraft received the B-21 index and the name Raider, and was designated as a sixth-generation bomber. 6 B-21 prototypes are being manufactured at Northrop Grumman's Plant 42 facility in Palmdale, of which 5 are destined for flight testing and 1 for ground testing. The lead flight prototype T-1 aircraft has been under construction since 2019 and was completed in March 2022, when it began factory ground testing in a dedicated shop. It is also reported that the G-1 ground test prototype was also completed in 2022. The official public unveiling ceremony for the first B-21 Raider flight prototype took place at Palmdale on December 2, 2022. The T-1 first flight prototype's engines were first fired and taxi tested in September, and it has now taken to the air. Initial delivery of the first production B-21 aircraft is now expected to begin in 2026-2027. Initial operational capability, IOC, is expected to be achieved by 2030. The U.S. Air Force plans to procure 100 to 200 B-21 aircraft to replace the B-1B and then B-2A strategic bombers. Beginning in fiscal year 2025, it is planned to make annual appropriations for the procurement of 6 to 7 B-21 aircraft, with the possibility of increasing to 15 aircraft per year in the 2030s. Thus, the U.S. Air Force plans to eventually have a mixed fleet of strategic bombers made up of 2 types of aircraft, the new B-21 Raider and the modernized Boeing B-52 Stratofortress bombers. When the LRSB program began, the target procurement cost per production aircraft was planned at $550 million, but currently the planned procurement cost of the aircraft is not reported, and is unofficially estimated to be on the order of $700 minus $750 million. Structurally, the B-21 ideologically repeats the Northrop Grumman B-2A subsonic bomber flying wing, but has slightly smaller dimensions. The wingspan is 45 meters compared to 52 meters for the B-2A. At the same time, compared to the B-2A, the new aircraft has a greater wing extension and deeply recessed engine intakes. A new generation of radio-absorbing coatings is used. The B-21 is powered by two new Pratt & Whitney engines based on the F-135 engine of the F-35 fighter, and, according to published data, should have a maximum payload weight of 13,600 kilograms, although its weapons bays will be larger than those of the B-2A. The B-21 aircraft has an open architecture and modularity of systems, and in the future it is possible to create its unmanned version.
The first flight of the B-21 Raider is expected in 2023, and serial production is expected to start in 2026. The ambitious Raider construction program is planned to be completed by the end of the 2020s. In reality, these plans can be postponed to a later date, but the Pentagon's budget is able to withstand such a massive upgrade, even though each of the bombers will cost $692 million. The new American Strategist will be multi-purpose. Industrial capabilities allow the U.S. not to change this particular approach to aviation. But in addition to the tasks of strategic deterrence with nuclear weapons, the B-21 Raider must also solve non-nuclear tasks in local conflicts and special operations. The U.S. strategic aviation is still actively engaged in this. Today America has one type of intercontinental ballistic missiles, Minuteman III, and one type of strategic missile systems with submarines, Trident II, Ohio. With the arrival of the B-21 Raider in service, there will be 4 models of bombers. For comparison, Russia currently has 2 types of Strategists in service, the Tu-160 and Tu-95MS. China has one rocket-carrying bomber H-6, an updated copy of the Soviet Tu-16. After Russia and China have adopted their own bombers of the latest generation, Hawk-DA and Xi'an H-20, the situation as compared to the US will not change fundamentally. In 2021, the Pentagon announced its plans to purchase 149 B-21s. The Army Upgrade Channel reminds us that this figure is almost equal to the entire current fleet of American strategic aircraft. At present, it consists of 20 stealth B-2 airplanes, 60 variable sweep B-1B bombers, and 70 veterans B-52H, which are planned to upgrade and replace the engines.
All about the U.S. Navy Blue Angels aerobatic team see at the end of the video at the link.